morning from sunny Australia after the holidays of the new year 2013. This is Marsha Orr from Entrepreneur Coaching and the Way of Love. And what I'd like to share with us today, given that it's just following the holidays, is just a little reflection about Dr. Seuss's book, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Now, if you remember, out of his wonderful books, he always had an idea to share. And in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, if you remember, the Who in Whoville sang without any presents at all after the Grinch stole them. I would like to bring this forward as a concept that we work with in a way of love. And this is seeing issues really as blessings. So when the Grinch stole the presents at the holiday, the people of Whoville had many, many choices. They could have fought back, they could have started a war, they could have all gotten depressed, they could have dropped out. There's many, many range of options that they had. But instead, they choose to come together as a community and to sing and to accept that their issue as a blessing. Now, those of us who have issues in our lives, which I would count among us, probably every one of us, we have the same opportunity as the Who in Whoville. We can also take a step back, and rather than giving our typical kind of angry response or upset or sadness or whatever our typical way of being is, we can instead choose to see what happened or what's up for us, our issue, as a blessing. Normally that calls upon us to forgive and accept. And this is at the core of our practice at A Way of Love. Acceptance of what is kind of a radical idea. Once you accept what's so, then you are next empowered to look how you can best change it in a way that works for your higher good and the higher good of all involved. If you are trying to argue against a thing that is, you are wasting a lot of energy and really just keeping yourself on a treadmill that doesn't tend to lead to outcomes that support your highest good. So the first thing in accepting an issue as a blessing is to forgive. And that means to forgive yourself for however your being that you can see in your mind's eye wasn't actually so perfect either. We forgive ourselves for judging ourselves. We also have an opportunity to forgive others. They're doing the best they can, and even if in some cases it's not that great. We forgive simply out of self-preservation, really, because if there's been an injury that has happened to us and we are charged with that injury and upset, that injury just keeps reoccurring in our lives again and again, in our emotional life, in our mental life, and in every way charges our life with this renewal of hurt again and again. If we work on forgiveness, for whatever reason, what we are doing is karmically detaching ourselves from the source of that grief. So we forgive others, and we forgive ourselves for judging others in whatever way that we have judged them. And we accept that they did what they did out of whatever reasons they chose. And we are no longer attached to that. We can be free, actually, from the hurt and upset and angst that whatever that action was that caused us to feel judging or critical or hurt. And we can choose to forgive ourselves for judging them, forgive ourselves for judging ourselves. And in doing that, if we work with an issue as a blessing, then we can free ourselves largely just by our forgiveness. sometimes what we see is when issues show up that we actually have a lot of what I would call projections about how we perceive the other person to be. And the way of love actually calls for owning our own projections. Now, we may look at somebody and we may think that they are fabulous. They're the best thing that we've ever seen in our lives. We look at everything they do and how they act and their way of being, and we seek to emulate them. Or there's just aspects of them that we really appreciate and honor and uplift. And these are also projections. Those aspects that we see in others are aspects that we have in ourselves. And we can look at others and see those qualities that they have and say to ourselves, I am that too. So if you have feelings of negativity about someone else, it shows up similarly. Often these are projected out feelings of self onto someone else. So if I see someone as, being different than I would choose, I can work with this issue as a blessing simply by taking within myself and asking myself, what am I seeing in that person, and what aspects of that are also present in me? This is sometimes a little difficult to do because you can never imagine that you would ever be like that. And yet there may be some aspect of you that feels that way, has seen that, can in some way identify with that behavior in yourself. And this then moves us forward to deeper forgiveness and to accept these issues that come up for us as blessings. I think that sometimes in looking at issues as blessings, that some of the most difficult things to do is to accept feedback from others when they're projecting on us as if we haven't lived up to their expectations of us. And sometimes human beings tend to be very sensitive. We tend to have thin skins, and we take to heart many of the critical judgments that are projected onto us, whether they're true or not. So when we receive feedback from another, I just want to bring to our attention that when working with issues as blessings, you have a choice. You can say, this is feedback from my universe. Does it fit for me or does it not? Do I see some relevance in it? Is there something I can learn from it or not? And often there are things in it that have some truth in them that lead you to course correct. And actually, even though it may be hurtful at the time, can send you on a path where you really need to be going, but you haven't had your ears open enough to hear. When you get feedback from your universe, it can come in various ways. It can come from friends dropping you or from job loss. It can come from a breakup of your marriage. It can come from a loss of your business. Many, many ways. This is how the universe is tangibly showing up to give you feedback about whether you're on course or off course in your own life. You can accept this as a blessing rather than just an upset. And you can be empowered to reflect upon that feedback and what it is teaching you to guide your next steps. These are just some of the ideas about how we can work with issues as blessings. What I would like to invite you to today, besides these reflections that may come up for you, is to call back the understanding of the who and whosville, who without any presence at all decided to pull together and to sing, and to receive the blessings of one another. One thing that you can do with or without anyone else is start placing your eyes, walking your feet, touching. Whatever you see and do, bless it. Just simply bless it. So where you put your foot, imagine yourself blessing that piece of ground where your foot rests. Where you touch your hand, imagine yourself blessing that and receiving the blessing of it. So this will serve to fill you up in mind, body, and soul for the deep gratitude that is present in each of our lives, regardless of circumstance and regardless of loss or grief or anything that may be up for you at the present time. And that's all I wish for you to share today in this new year, 2013, to start working with issues as blessings and to start seeing how it is that they are there to teach you something about yourself and to move you ahead on your own path of growth and development. I wish you every blessing of the new year in 2013, and may all your issues deeply bless you.